Hey loves, it's Amber and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. Today we're here in cast to do a little bit of a challenge. It's not a challenge exactly, but I just thought it would be something fun to bring you along with as I did. So some of you might know that I am currently working on a challenge that involved starting with a empty save file, and I need to create Sims to fill that save file. So this is one of the first families that I am creating. So I used a random number generator to generate the number of Sims that I would need for the family. So I just randomized 1 through 8. And for this family, we got 7, which I was pretty intimidated by initially because I don't normally create families that large. Every other family that's already in that save file is 2 to 3 Sims, and that's kind of my comfort zone when it comes to creating families. It's even my comfort zone when it comes to playing. I don't typically play with families this large, which I guess why I don't typically have them. I've done the 100 baby challenge, of course, and that requires you to have really large households, but in general, I typically play with smaller households. I just find that easier to manage. But I got a 7, so we had to figure some things out. And I might have cheated a little bit. Y'all can tell me what y'all think when y'all see some of our family members. But anyways, this is the patriarch of our family. This is Mr. Gonzalo Selby. And I kind of love him. I pretty much never create elder Sims, and I absolutely never create male Sims. So he's really different from really any of the other Sims that I create. And the inspiration from him, basically, when I randomized into cast, he was wearing this full body outfit, and I just thought it was iconic. So I just kind of went for there and gave him the vibe. I love this hair. I wanted to give him like a little bit of a receding hairline. I thought that looked really good. And then the mustache from Horse Ranch, y'all, it's such a moment. It's such a vibe. I just think it looks so good on him. So I think he looks really good. Also, I guess I should point out I am a little bit sick. I've been trying to record this video all week. I actually created these Sims, I think, end of last week, but I got really sick and so I wasn't able to record the voiceover, and I'm just kind of getting my voice back. So I'm just gonna try and power through. But if you hear it a little bit, I am a little bit sick. So for Mr. Gonzalo, he is the patriarch of this family and he lives with his adult son as well as his one grandchild. But we'll kind of get into the stories for those Sims as we move on to them. But starting with him, he is a champion rider. So he is a retired rider now, but in his youth, he was a champion rider and he still loves horses, still loves ranching, still loves all that outdoorsy ranchy stuff. He is hot-headed, self-assured, and then he does have the rancher trait. Gonzalo's wife passed. It's been a little while now, and he was really pretty hard on his one son. So they do have a difficult family dynamic. I did go ahead and set the family dynamics for this little family. I think it's what I do at the very end of the video, but it's not something I typically do, and I really did enjoy doing it for them because I feel like it adds a little bit to the storytelling for these families and these Sims, and I want them to have a little bit more backstory and feel a little bit more, I guess, lived with, or feel like more rounded characters, since I'm going to put them in the background of a save file that I'm going to be playing and feeling, and we won't have that many Sims. I want all the Sims in the save file to feel like fully fleshed out, if that makes sense. So Gonzalo's my rancher. I love him. I think he turned out really good. He's probably my second favorite in this family. We'll get to my favorite when we get there, but I do love him. This is his son, and I did randomize for the names because I wanted them to have names that I wouldn't necessarily think of. So his name's Waldemar, maybe Valdemar. Also, I realized that Gonzalo didn't have hair and he needs to be hairy, so had to go back and fix that. And I used the genetics to create Waldemar, but I just his something about his face was kind of throwing me off, so I had to edit him a little bit, and I think I ended up editing him a little bit more, just because his features just turn out not quite like I want them to. But either way, I think he's cute. I like the way he looks at the end, but I wanted him to be pretty different from Gonzalo, so he's a much more like laid back, chill sort of sim in some ways. As far as his traits, he has the soulmate aspiration. He is macabre, so obviously we have Gonzalo and we have Waldemar or Valdemar, but we don't have a mother. And his mother has passed on, and he actually also had a little sister. So his mother and his sister passed in a tragic accident. They had a fire at the ranch when Waldemar and his father Gonzalo were out riding. They were at a championship competition, and their mother and sister passed during that in a fire. And so he is macabre. He's kind of obsessed with death and everything surrounding that because he was so exposed to death at a young age. And so that just really became a part of his personality. And he kind of approaches life in a laid back sort of, it can all be gone type of way. And so that irritates his father. And so him and his father really had a very strained relationship. He is very loyal, however, because he doesn't have a lot of family. He is very loyal to his father, even though they don't get along. He's very loyal to those who he loves and those that he cares about, which kind of falls into that soulmate aspiration. And then also he's just a little bit mean. Life was tough and he's gone through a lot of kind of grim things, and sometimes it just makes you mean. Some people respond differently to that. And so yeah, our guy's just a little mean. What can I say? It's who he is. I wanted to give him like a laid back style, but still kind of pull a lot of that rancher aesthetic. After all, he did still grow up like on the farm, on the ranch with his father. I liked the way this outfit looked better, his cold weather. I liked it better than his everyday wear. I wanted to try that top because I don't use it a lot, but I just didn't like the way it looked. So I went ahead and switched it out. And then I wanted to make sure that he had a ring because he is married and we are going to be creating his wife next. So I just wanted to make sure that I had that. And there you can see his name. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's Waldemar or Valdemar. I like Valdemar. And I know in some languages you would pronounce the W with a V sound. So it's kind of what I'm going with. I also have that he likes to write. He does like horse riding. He did it all of his life. He's just not in love with it like his father, but he does like it, and I do still think it's a big part of his personality and his character. But he probably wouldn't admit it, and he wouldn't want his father to know that he like really loves it. So next, I just randomized in a sim to be his wife, and this is Cassil, and she is my favorite sim from the bunch. So as you can see here, she randomized in beautiful. Like the random sim that she's based on was absolutely stunning, first of all. So she was a really easy base to do this with. And second of all, I, for her and for all of these sims, wanted to try to use some of the in-game skin details because I want them to have kind of more unique facial features and facial structures. I create a lot of sims, but I rely pretty heavily on custom content. And if you use custom content, especially skin details, you can notice that your sims look very similar because the skin details are all the same. And so sometimes I feel like your sims end up all looking the same as well. And so I wanted to use kind of the few details that we have. So she's got a little bit of crow's feet, just some premature wrinkling around the eyes because she's a goofy girl. She laughs a lot. She spends a lot of time having fun and enjoying life, and that gives you crow's feet. So our girl's got those. She also has freckles. She spends a lot of time outside with her family, and so the sun exposure predisposes our girl to a little bit of freckling as well. So for her, I also had to try to get into the makeup, and I was able to work with, there's like one MAC eyeshadow that I think is cute, and I basically use it anytime I have to create makeup without CC. And then we also got that highlight added. I'm pretty sure it's Peachy Fairy. We got that highlight added with one of the updates where they partnered with Sim creators, and it's chef's kiss. I forget about it so often, but it was perfect for our girl Cassil. So traits wise, Cassil is a cat lover. She's a goofball, like I said, and she is a foodie, and she has the friends to the animal aspiration, and I just think she's adorable. So she just has like a very vibrant, happy personality. She's always laughing, always kind of goofing around. She's the eldest child, and I think she just kind of used that laughter and happiness to cope. Her family was very serious, and her family had really high expectations. And I'll admit that Cassil maybe didn't meet exactly what her parents wanted from her. And she kind of rebelled against them in some ways because they had those very high aspirations and kind of requirements for her, and she didn't really want that. That wasn't really what she wanted out of life. And so instead, she's just a little bit different. But that's okay. And I think that Cassil is probably the best member of this family. She's probably the most well-rounded and the least limited in some ways, though we will get to Cassil's limitation. This is a pretty flawed family. They kind of have a lot of drama going on, which I thought was a little bit of fun when it came to creating them. But there's drama pretty much across the board for this lovely little family. As you can also see, style-wise, Cassil's a very has a very feminine aesthetic. She wears a lot of dresses, she wears a lot of skirts. I think she might only wear dresses and skirts actually. Around this time in her hot weather wear was kind of when I was making that decision, because this is the time when I would be the least likely to use a skirt. But I saw this maxi skirt and I really wanted to try to make it work. So I kind of committed to that. So Cassil's just wearing dresses, um, just a very feminine type of aesthetic. It probably doesn't make sense considering she lives on a ranch with her husband. But that's just Cassil's thing. She's not exactly someone who cares all that much about what makes sense and what doesn't. And I love that about her. She is wearing this little hat. It is knitted, and we'll get into who knitted the hat for her, but she does wear it. She always does for her cold weather, and it is important to her. It's something important for her to hold on to, and that she enjoys it. She does knit a little bit herself, though I don't think I had it as something she likes. It is something that she grew up doing. Her mother used to knit, and so she taught her, and so Cassil knits and she enjoys it, but she probably wouldn't tell you that she does. But I think she turned out really well, and here I am just kind of setting their relationships. They have a little bit of a weird relationship. It's just a little bit chaotic. Sometimes they're super lovey, sometimes they're strained, sometimes they can't get enough of each other. It's just, like I said, Waldemar is mean and Cassil's a goofball, and sometimes it just doesn't work, but it always works, if that makes sense. So next we're creating their daughter, and I decided to go with a toddler just because, I don't know, I thought a toddler would be cute, and also depending on when they're added, I'm probably going to have toddlers for the main family, so making sure that we have kids for our child to play with, and the other family I added, I think, has an infant, and then we also already have a child in the world, so I just figured I would go ahead and add a toddler. So this is Miss Valeria, and I think she's adorable. I actually randomized her name, but then I ended up kind of with a little bit of a theme for the three female Sims in this household, but I think it's fine. So Valeria, I mean, she's a toddler. I feel like it's not that much to say. She randomized with this hair, but I thought it was really cute. And aesthetic wise, I wanted to keep it fairly kind of girly and feminine just because that's Cassil's style, and I feel that she's probably who's dressing Valeria. So I just gave her a lot of just little cute outfits. I thought this little onesie was really cute. I think I end up for her hot weather wear putting her in, yeah, I put her in the same things her everyday wear just because I thought it was cute. I thought it made sense. And like, I don't know, do toddlers have to have that many different outfits? I actually have a toddler and he has a shocking amount of outfits, but nevertheless, I thought that her everyday wear worked well for her hot weather wear. And then for her cold weather wear, I want to give her something probably a little bit more practical. So I just went with that. And then I think she's an inquisitive toddler. She is close to her grandfather. Her father's supportive. And then her mother's just a little bit permissive. So Cassil kind of lets her do anything. Cassil, she's not really the disciplinarian type, so she just kind of lets Valeria get away with anything, and so does her grandfather. He is very much reminded of his lost daughter when he sees Valeria, so he just kind of lets her get away with everything. And then, like I said, y'all might say I cheated a little bit, but I added a cat. But in my defense, Cassil is a cat lover, and a cat is a key member of the family. So yes, one of our 7 family members is a cat. That is Mr. Senator, and he is skittish, playful, and a free spirit, which I think fits perfectly for Cassil. He does also wear a little sweater because Cassil just feels like the type. Also, I said she likes to knit, even though she pretends like she doesn't. So she did knit him a nice little sweater to wear. And then, of course, we obviously had to have a horse. I mean, We obviously had to have a horse. Waldemar is a rancher and Gonzalo is a champion rancher, so they had to have a horse. So we also added in our horse Shoe, and I actually really thought about his traits. So he's independent, he is mellow, and he is friendly, and he's a chill little horse. So of course they had to have him. And then this last sim, I said Cassil's my favorite, but this last sim might actually be my favorite. This is Crystal, and I did end up changing her last name. So her last name should be Garnet because Crystal is Cassil's little sister. So I know I mentioned that Cassil was the oldest, and her parents had a little bit of a contentious relationship, but they loved Crystal. But sadly, her parents passed away, and Crystal's still a teen, so she had to come and live with Cassil, and they have a little bit of a strained relationship. So I think a lot of it comes from Cassil feeling like there were just excessive expectations put on her, but Crystal didn't have to deal with those expectations. Her parents were much older when they had Crystal, so they were different. I feel like as your parents age, they tend to be different, and I feel like a lot of older siblings can relate to that idea that the expectations for their younger siblings weren't the same as they were for them when they were growing up. Admittedly, I actually cannot relate to that. I am the younger sibling, but I know it's something that people feel a lot and it's something that you hear a lot. So that's how Cassil feels. She just feels like Crystal kind of got away with everything and was a little bit spoiled throughout all of her life. Crystal, Crystal doesn't really feel much of that. She is gloomy and she's an art lover and she has the Lady of the Knits aspiration. This is actually the person who knitted the hat that Cassil wears. She wears a knitted hat herself. She loves knitting with her mother. And I mean, Crystal actually loves Cassil. She doesn't really know where the strain in their relationship comes from. And right now, she's really kind of dependent on Cassil because she did just lose her parents and she has really kind of lost her way. And so she's actually struggling a lot just with grief and figuring out how to grow up without her parents being there. And Cassil does recognize that. She does see that. She does love her sister and she's trying, but it is hard. Now, Crystal's very close to her niece Valeria, and that's kind of something that she's really thrown herself into a lot is being there with her niece and kind of watching her grow and develop. So that's kind of where Crystal is. But Crystal's just a teen trying to figure out her way. And I really added Crystal because I wanted to have a teen. I don't think we have any teens in the world right now. And I thought that would be fun. And I like the idea of pulling in some family from Crystal's side. So just having, we have the two members from the Selby family, and then we have Cassil who married in, and then we also have Crystal here. I just thought that was a lot of fun, and I love the cast stuff from Life and Death. And this family's kind of ranchy and that sort of aesthetic. So I thought that it would be perfect because Crystal's technically not really from this family. So it fits that she would have a very different kind of vibe and aesthetic. So she's got the darker, more macabre sense of fashion, even though Waldemar is our actual macabre sim. I just thought this was a lot of fun. I also decided that I wanted to use this hair that has the highlights in it because I think it's really cute. It is kind of sad because none of the other hairs match with that, including the other like bund hair that came with this pack. The dyed colors in that hair is blue, even though in the same swatch it's blonde, which kind of irritated me. But I made it work and I powered through. And by made it work, I mean you're just gonna have to pretend that all the blonde in her hair got pulled up somehow because there's no other way to do it. And I wanted to use this hair. So this is the hair that she has. We're just gonna suspend our disbelief with the fact that it doesn't match. I also was determined to use these shorts because I haven't used them. Like, I think they're cute in theory, but I just can't figure out how to make them work. I did give them to her, and I think this looks pretty good. It's maybe not my favorite, but I think it works okay. And I think it fits fairly well for her specific aesthetic. So I like it. I think it turned out cute. She's also a hat girl, so she is wearing a hat in most of her fits. And honestly, I love that for her. Like, I'm not a hat girl. I literally can't pull off a hat, but I love a queen that can. So Crystal is the last sim that we have to create, and I love her. I love the way her aesthetic turned out. I think it fits perfect. It gives like everything that I wanted it to give. And she is also going to like cross stitch as well as knitting. And then after this, I think I'm just going to go through and set up all the family dynamics, which we've kind of already talked about. And that's going to be this video. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this little no CC family that I created. I will be uploading them to the gallery, so you can check my hashtag or my gallery ID, Simbersanders, if you want to download this family or play with any of these sims. But let me know who's your favorite down below. And I want to say I thank you guys so much for watching, as absolutely always. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. And I will see you all next time. Bye!